One commented to another that the sight made his whole body shake. While he could handle the monster's corrosive dark power, the pure, destructive force of the thunder was on a completely different level. Once the dust settled, Fang Yi casually gave a thumbs up to his friend, announcing that the threat was on. Wang Liang rushed over, shouting with relief that Fang Yi had scared him to death. Overjoyed, Wang Liang playfully punched his friend on the shoulder, laughing that he never expected his old buddy to be so powerful. The mood then shifted as Wang Liang apologized, admitting he had suspected Fang Yi was a pioneer but had to follow orders. Fang Yi brushed it off, asking why his friend was being so formal after 3 years apart and telling him he understood. Their reunion was interrupted as Ji Ruoyan approached them. She formally thanked Fang Yi for his help, extending her hand as a sign of respect. With a slight smile, Fang Yi accepted her thanks. He shook her hand, replying that it was no trouble and that he had mainly acted to save his friend. She then formally introduced herself as Ji Ruoyan, the warden in charge of Forbidden Area 019. She explained that since he had saved the entire base, she needed to file a proper report and asked if he would be willing to leave his contact information. Fang Yi agreed without hesitation, while Wang Liang watched from the side, silently amazed at the strange experience of seeing his tough commanding officer act so respectfully toward his childhood friend. With the formalities done, Ji Ruoyan made a direct and serious offer. She said that Fang Yi's strength was greater than many of the military's own special pioneers and formally invited him to join the army. However, she admitted that an invitation from a single base warden like herself was probably not enough to convince him. Inwardly, she was still trying to grasp the sheer scale of his power. What shocked her most was the realization that he was also a 3-star Ghost Axe realm cultivator, the same as her. Yet, his abilities had reached a level far beyond the known limits of that realm, making him a monster of incredible power. Fang Yi calmly asked Ji Ruoyan if she truly meant that she felt she was not worthy of inviting him. With the weight of her superior's authority on her, she confirmed his words, saying there was nothing to deny. She explained that the order to involve him had come from high command, and she was certain that they would come to invite him personally in the future. Fang Yi let out a small laugh, telling her it wasn't necessary to be so formal. He placed a hand on his chest and explained that he genuinely respected all of them, knowing that not everyone had the courage to sacrifice themselves for others. He admitted that he had never seen soldiers in combat before, and what he had just seen had truly moved him. Touched by his sincerity, Ji Ruoyan could only offer a quiet thank you. He then made an offer of his own. He told her that if they ever ran into trouble in the future, they could call on him for help, just as they had always done for ordinary people like him in the past. However, he added one important condition. They could not interfere with his personal cultivation or restrict his freedom. His unexpected proposal left Ji Ruoyan momentarily stunned. With their business concluded, Fang Yi announced that it was getting late and he should be leaving. Ji Ruoyan agreed, saying that she and Wang Liang still had to get rid of the mutated creature's body and that she would arrange for someone to take him back. As he stood before the soldiers, Fang Yi finally understood the military's true purpose in this new era. He realized they stationed themselves in these dangerous, spiritually rich zones for 2 reasons: to use the energy for their own training, and more importantly, to act as a crucial line of defense between the ordinary world and the strange monsters that now threatened it. After he was gone, Ji Ruoyan turned to Wang Liang and said that his friend could no longer be described with a simple word, like impressive. She knew that what they had seen that day was just a small part of his true strength. The fact that a pioneer could reach such a high level of power so quickly showed that he had an amazing level of insight. She concluded that he was a rare mix of luck, courage, and raw ability, all the things needed for greatness. Seeing his commander's deep respect for his friend, Wang Liang eagerly suggested that if she felt she wasn't the right person to recruit him, she should let him, as his childhood friend, take on the job. Ji Ruoyan, however, quickly brought him back to reality with a sharp tap on the head, ordering him to stop talking and help her clean up. He could only agree as he was dragged off to work. Later that night, back at his apartment building, Fang Yi meditated on the roof, surrounded by a brilliant golden aura. He thought about his meeting with the military. He knew that while the trip had revealed his identity, he had only shown them his thunder attribute, keeping his other powers a secret. Based on their respectful attitude, he concluded that this was likely a good thing. He now understood that his rare thunder attribute was a perfect counter to the dark monsters the military was fighting, making him a very valuable asset. He knew they would try to recruit him, not threaten him, which would give him access to the fastest ways to get stronger and the most advanced information. The day's events had also made clear the different roles of the nation's 2 main pioneer forces. The military, represented by Ji Royan, were the Night Watchers, the hidden protectors of the nation. The Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, with agents like Su Qingying, was in charge of handling the threats that slipped into the cities, protecting civilian life as much as possible. He understood the government's two-part strategy, using the forbidden zones to contain the biggest dangers while slowly releasing information to the public about the coming changes. This careful approach was buying valuable time, preventing society from collapsing into chaos. As he continued his meditation, a bright orb of golden energy pulsed in his core. He noted that despite absorbing the rich energy of the forbidden zone, he hadn't felt an immediate need to level up. However, the feeling quickly changed. Golden energy surged through him, and cracks of power spread across his face. Having spent even a short time in such a spiritually rich place had filled him to the brim. He recognized the signs immediately. He was on the verge of another breakthrough. Meanwhile, on the streets below, his cousin Lin Yi was walking home with groceries, wondering if he had returned yet. She thought that if he was home, she could have him try her cooking. Her casual thoughts were suddenly shattered when she looked up and saw a massive pillar of golden light erupting into the night sky from the direction of her apartment building. Her eyes widened in shock and alarm. A reflection of a flaming divine axe appeared in her eye as she recognized the powerful energy of a ghost axe realm advancement. But she immediately knew she was wrong. The sheer scale of the power, showing up as a massive fiery divine axe in the sky, was far too terrifying for an ordinary breakthrough. She could only stare in disbelief, wondering if another powerful pioneer was making their move in the city. On the street below, Lin Yi stared at the sky in complete disbelief. She recognized the immense power of the Ghost Axe realm, but this was something else, a force so powerful it was changing reality itself. As a giant, divine hand made of pure golden energy formed in the clouds above, she realized the terrifying truth. This was the power of the legendary spirit creation realm. The realization that a pioneer of such incredible strength was living right next to her sent a wave of shock and fear through her. The massive energy surge did not go unnoticed. Miles away, in a high-tech command center, red alarms blared as technicians scrambled. An urgent warning flashed across their screens. The anomaly value had reached a catastrophic level of 99, its location pinpointed to the southeast of the city. An official and Su Qingying reacted with alarm. The official demanded to know what was happening, ordering all units to the target area. Su Qingying wondered how such a powerful anomaly could have gone undetected, noting that an energy reading of this size was powerful enough to destroy an entire city. Before a holographic map of the city, military leaders held a tense emergency meeting. They debated the two terrifying possibilities. Either a new, godlike spirit creation pioneer had just appeared, or the city was on the brink of a massive disaster. One grim-faced officer suggested it could very well be both. The situation escalated as the senior official frantically called headquarters, demanding they send all advanced equipment, short of large-scale weapons. His panic was cut short, however, when a subordinate burst into the room, breathlessly announcing that the alert had been cancelled. The anomaly had been identified not as a monster, but as a pioneer undergoing a promotion. Back on the rooftop, the blinding golden light faded as Fang Yi let out a quiet breath of relief. The breakthrough was complete. He casually noted that he had successfully reached the one-star spirit creation realm. Aside from his body feeling lighter and more agile, he didn't feel a significant difference in his raw power. His quiet moment was interrupted when his phone buzzed with a new message. It was from his friend, Wang Liang. The message was a warning. A new anomaly had appeared at Qingcheng University's playground. Internal military sources had confirmed it was a pollution zone, and more worrying, it was the second time this specific anomaly had occurred. Fang Yi texted back, saying he knew of the previous heat anomaly. Wang Liang confirmed it was the same one, back again, and playfully warned Fang Yi not to tell anyone he was the source of the intel. After Fang Yi jokingly threatened to report him, Wang Liang's tone turned serious. He told Fang Yi that he was genuinely worried for his safety and urged him to be careful. Fang Yi put down his phone, his expression thoughtful. His friend's warning only confirmed his own strategy. This was exactly why he was so cautious in his dealings with both the military and the association. He knew that being too well known could bring unwanted trouble, which was why he had deliberately chosen to keep his powerful Yang Flame attribute and his Crimson Flame Blade technique a secret. They were his hidden aces. He typed a final reply to his friend, reassuring him not to worry, he would be careful, and he still had trump cards left to play. Lin Yi opened the apartment door, announcing that she was back. Seeing Fang Yi on the couch, she asked if he had eaten yet, offering him the bag of takeout she had brought. Distracted by his phone, he simply told her to leave it on the table and that he would get to it later. As she watched him, a worried and slightly frustrated expression crossed her face. In her mind, she thought about her cousin's character. She saw him as a perfectly good person, but with one major flaw, his laziness. He seemed content to just stay at home all day playing on his phone, not even bothering to go to college. She found it ironic that while she and her fellow pioneers were constantly busy, seeking opportunities and hiding their true identities, her cousin lived such a carefree, seemingly aimless life. Exhausted, she went to her room and collapsed onto her bed. She knew that news of the incredible spirit creation pioneer who had just appeared in their district would spread like wildfire. Feeling a sense of duty, she resolved that when the time came, she would protect her seemingly clueless cousin as a way of repaying him. Meanwhile, Fang Yi was not just playing on his phone. He was analyzing the news report from Wang Liang, which showed a massive, raging fire at the university playground. He noted that the first anomaly had been intense heat, and now it was a fire. He wondered if this was another form of the Yang attribute. The video showed the fire had started incredibly fast and was burning with terrifying intensity. Online comments from witnesses expressed shock, with some wondering if special forces were now being called in for simple fires. The report also mentioned that all the surrounding trees and flower beds had been burned and the area was now completely locked down. Fang Yi observed that the video was short and ended suddenly, but it was clear this situation was far more serious than the previous incident at the university. He wondered what would be different about this new Yang attribute. Realizing he had to investigate in person, he knew that to get into the sealed-off area, he would have to contact his new military acquaintance, Ji Royan. The next day, a crowd of reporters had gathered outside the sealed gates of Chingcheng University, blocked by a line of soldiers. They shouted questions, asking for confirmation about the rumors of a fire that couldn't be put out, and demanding to know why an incident of this size was not being reported in the news. As the reporters pressed for answers, Ji Ruoyan and Fang Yi arrived. The crowd watched, wondering who these two imposing figures were as the soldiers immediately opened the gates, allowing them to pass without question. The reporters were left outside, confused as to how they had gotten in so easily when they had been completely blocked. Inside the cordoned-off area, they looked out over the smoldering ruins of the university playground. Fang Yi remarked on the sheer destructive power, questioning if this was the sky fire he had heard about. Ji Ruoyan confirmed that was its official name. She explained its terrifying nature. It appeared without warning, was impossible to put out, and could only be left to burn itself out until everything it wanted was turned to ash. The name, she suggested, was quite fitting. With the initial look done, Ji Ruoyan told Fang Yi she needed to head to the principal's office and asked if he would wait for her. He told her to go on ahead, saying he would be fine there. Alone, Fang Yi walked along the edge of the destroyed area, which was now blocked off with yellow tape. He knelt and touched the scorched earth, analyzing the scene. He noted that the ground was already cold, and more importantly, there was no leftover spiritual power left from the sky fire. He realized with some disappointment that this meant he couldn't collect its attribute. His plan had been too simple. His thoughts were suddenly interrupted when a familiar voice called his name. He looked up to see his ex-girlfriend, Chu Qingli, standing on the steps nearby with a friend. She asked in surprise what he was doing there. Her friend with glasses immediately recognized his name, asking Chu Qingli if this was the ex-boyfriend she had mentioned, the one who had only gotten into a vocational college. Chu Qingli simply confirmed it was him. The friend then patted Chu Qingli's shoulder with a smug, condescending look. She told Fang Yi that she understood he was likely there because he was still hung up on his ex, but now that the gap between their lives was so big, he should just give up. Fang Yi could only stare back, genuinely confused by her assumption, questioning the very idea that he would be hung up on her. From a distance, other students began to gossip about the scene. They wondered who the guy with the school beauty Chu Qingli was, guessing he must be another sad suitor. They noted he didn't look like a student from their university and complained about how security could have let an outsider in. Chu Qingli's friend with glasses stepped forward, aggressively confronting Fang Yi. She told him that Chu Qingli was now the university's campus belle and that he should think clearly about his actions. She warned him that countless guys far better than him were pursuing her and that he didn't even rank. She ordered him to leave, telling him this was not a place he belonged. She then threatened to report him to the disciplinary office if he didn't explain how he got in. Meanwhile, Chu Qingli watched him with a complicated expression. She remembered him claiming he wouldn't regret their breakup, yet here he was. She concluded that his previous lack of interest must have been an act, and that he was just putting on a brave face. Their confrontation was interrupted when Ji Royan returned, asking Fang Yi if the girl was his friend. Chu Qingli was surprised by the sudden appearance of the imposing red-haired woman. Fang Yi coolly dismissed the idea, clarifying that they were merely high school classmates and couldn't be considered friends. Ji Royan accepted his explanation, simply saying they were just classmates. Ji Royan then put on a pair of sunglasses, her already intimidating presence growing even stronger. Both Chu Qingli and her friend were visibly nervous by the woman's powerful aura, wondering who she was and how she could possibly know someone like Fang Yi. Ji Royan then turned to Fang Yi with an update. She explained that she had spoken with the principal, and the matter of the Skyfire was more complicated than they had thought. She told him that the principal was coming to take them to the fire's starting point, and since Fang Yi was now a special military consultant, his presence was required. Fang Yi agreed without any issue. Just then, a group of stern-looking officials in suits arrived, ordering everyone to scatter and announcing that the playground was to remain sealed off. Chu Qingli gasped in shock, recognizing the man leading the group as the university's principal. The other students were equally stunned. The principal was known to be an incredibly busy and hard-to-find figure, someone who was rarely seen on campus. They realized with awe that he had come personally to meet with Fang Yi and the mysterious red-haired woman. Chu Qingli's friend, however, completely misread the situation. She smirked, thinking that the principal had finally arrived to deal with the two people who weren't supposed to be there. Chu Qingli, however, remained silent, a look of uncertainty on her face. To the absolute shock of Chu Qingli and her friend, the principal and his group did not approach Fang Yi and Ji Royan as trespassers. Instead, the elderly principal walked directly up to Fang Yi and greeted him with a warm, respectful handshake. He addressed Fang Yi as the consultant introduced by Ji Royan, explaining how worried he had been about the school's recent anomalies and the safety of the students. He expressed his immense relief that they had come to solve the situation. In an even more stunning display, the principal then bowed slightly to Fang Yi, formally putting him in charge of the entire playground matter. From where she stood, Chu Qingli could only watch, her eyes wide with total disbelief as her entire view of her ex-boyfriend was shattered in an instant. The principal's security then moved to secure the area, forming a human barrier and ordering all unrelated people to step back. As the crowd of students, including Chu Qingli, was pushed away, they buzzed with confusion, unable to understand why their respected principal was bowing to such a young man. Lost in the crowd, Chu Qingli listened as the students' opinions changed around her. They now guessed that Fang Yi must have some extraordinary special identity to deserve such treatment. Someone recalled that just moments ago, he had been dismissed as Chu Qingli's suitor or ex-boyfriend. Another person remarked on the complete reversal of status, suggesting that now, even if she were to pursue him, she might not even be able to get his attention. The final cutting realization settled in as the crowd noticed that throughout the entire exchange, the young man had not once looked at or acknowledged the campus belle, leaving her to stand alone and completely ignored. At Qingcheng University's North District, the principal led Fang Yi and Ji Royan to the site of the anomaly. He explained the series of events, starting with the Golden Sun incident, which he had hoped was the end of their problems. However, a few nights ago, a fire had started on a playground. A fire so intense that even the fire department couldn't put it out. He was thankful it happened at night when no students were around, allowing them to quickly seal off the area. The principal continued, his face growing more serious. While a single fire might have been a fluke, it was followed by fires on 2 more playgrounds. He said he had personally seen a crimson flame come down from the sky and float in mid-air, a clear sign of a supernatural event. He told them that while the other fires were eventually put out, one still remained. As they got closer to the final location, Fang Yi noted the sharp, choking smell of something burning. They arrived at a basketball court where a single hoop was on fire with a raging eternal flame. The principal confirmed this was the starting point, the one fire that simply could not be put out. As they watched the anomaly, Ji Royan checked a device on her wrist, which showed a reading of 11. She explained to Fang Yi that it was a basic spiritual anomaly detector. She clarified that any reading over 10 was considered a disaster for ordinary people, requiring a complete lockdown. Suddenly, the device began to flash and beep wildly, the reading shooting up to 60. Ji Royan cried out in alarm at how high the value had become. Panicked, she warned the principal that if the energy kept rising, it wouldn't just affect the university, but the entire city. She declared they needed to immediately send an elite squad of pioneers to contain the threat. Before they could act on the plan, however, Fang Yi took matters into his own hands. Without a word, he leaped over the chain-link fence, ignoring the no-entry sign and heading directly into the fire. He was instantly covered by the intense flames, as Ji Royan and the principal watched in shock. At that exact moment, the reading on Ji Royan's device jumped again, now showing an incredible 110. She shouted that the anomaly had just been upgraded to S level. The principal, panicked, asked what they were supposed to do now that Fang Yi was inside. Ji Royan could only stare into the fire, questioning his recklessness and muttering that even the strongest soldier from the Forbidden Zone wouldn't dare to enter such a dangerous area alone. Inside the fire, however, Fang Yi stood completely unharmed, his silhouette calm against the raging flames. He knew that just as his Yang attribute had protected him from the divine thunder, it could also shield him from this sky fire. But he quickly found a major problem. While his power was protecting him, it also stopped him from touching the source flame itself, which meant he couldn't activate his system's ability to create a new technique. Realizing his protective aura was both a help and a hindrance, Fang Yi knew he had to get to the source flame. He watched as the fire wrapped around the basketball hoop like a great fiery dragon, understanding that he needed to get to its heart. Without hesitation, he prepared to face the fire head-on as the fiery dragon lunged toward him with a ferocious roar. In an incredibly risky move, he deliberately turned off his Golden Sun protective aura, leaving himself completely vulnerable. The sky fire instantly rushed in, covering his body in a storm of raw, burning energy. He gritted his teeth against the searing pain as the flames burned him, but he forced his hand forward, determined to touch the anomaly's core. His gamble worked. The moment his hand touched the source, his system activated, confirming it had detected the strong fluctuation of the Skyfire attribute. Despite the pain, a determined grin spread across his face. He was amazed at the Skyfire's power, noting its will was even stronger than the Desolation attribute he had recently gotten. With fierce determination, he declared that he would absorb this power no matter the cost. The system began its final calculation, successfully compiling the new data. With a triumphant smirk, he knew he had succeeded. A new system window appeared, announcing his reward. He had obtained the Skyfire attribute technique, the 9 Dragons Skyfire Sealing Art, a power designed to eliminate evil and seal all demons. As he mastered the new ability, the once wild flames became extensions of his will, wrapping around his arm like a tame dragon. The system confirmed that the compiled technique was now unlocked and ready for immediate use. As he focused his will, he began the final process of extracting the Skyfire attribute itself, absorbing its essence directly into his being. His eyes began to glow with a burning red light as fiery markings appeared on his face, a physical sign of his new power. With his hands clasped in a seal and his eyes burning with red energy, he prepared to unleash his newfound ability, calling out the name of the 9 Dragons Skyfire Sealing Art. As Fang Yi unleashed his new power, massive, glowing red chains erupted from his back, lashing out into the fire. Outside the fence, Ji Royan and the principal watched in awe. Ji Royan immediately recognized the energy signature, identifying it as a sealing aura. She remembered seeing a high-level military pioneer seal a forbidden land once before. While their methods were different, the powerful sealing aura was unmistakably similar. With a single command to shrink, Fang Yi commanded the chains to pull back. They pulled inward with immense force, gathering all of the wild sky fire and squeezing it into a single, tightly bound orb of pure energy. Floating in the air, Fang Yi held the chained ball of fire, the sealing process now complete. The sealed orb of fire then gently floated back down towards the basketball hoop. Fang Yi landed gracefully and explained the situation to the principal and Ji Royan. He stated that he had temporarily sealed the Skyfire and told them not to unseal the playground or allow anyone near it for repairs. This, he explained, would at least stop the fire from spreading any further. The principal readily agreed, assuring him that the playground would remain sealed, adding that it wasn't a problem since the university had 7 or 8 others. Ji Royan, however, watched Fang Yi with a silent, intense look, her expression hard to read. The principal, very impressed, remarked on how humorous Fang Yi was and offered any further help he might need. Ji Royan, however, interrupted, telling the principal she needed to speak with Fang Yi about some things. The principal happily excused himself, leaving the two of them alone. Once he was gone, Ji Royan turned to Fang Yi, her tone direct and serious. She told him that he had been hiding his true depths very well. Fang Yi tried to play it off casually, saying that the Skyfire was indeed powerful and hard to deal with, but she saw right through his act. With a sharp look, she told him to stop pretending, making it clear that she wasn't talking about the fire, but about his own incredible talent and level of power. Ji Royan dropped her intense questioning, admitting that it was normal for pioneers to have secrets, especially for one as powerful as him. Fang Yi simply listened with a calm expression. Her tone then shifted, becoming more serious and sincere. She explained that although she had no right to ask anything of him, she hoped he would listen carefully. She painted a dark picture of a future world in chaos, a time of great change where the Xia nation would desperately need top-tier talents like him. She put his potential into clear perspective, telling him that once the spiritual energy fully revived, a person of his power would be as important as a modern-day nuclear weapon. Because of this, she warned, every major power, from the various military forbidden zones to the Spiritual Energy Association, would rush to recruit him. She told him to be prepared for high-level officials to personally give him invitations with incredibly generous offers. She admitted she had her own reasons for telling him this. If he were to join her military unit, it would be a great asset, and they would gain a powerful friend. Therefore, she advised him to start thinking about his options now, so he wouldn't be caught off guard when the time came. Fang Yi, however, was silent for a moment before asking a curious question. He asked why both she and Wang Liang seemed so hesitant to recruit him for their own forbidden zone, even acting as if they weren't worthy. Ji Royan explained that it was because of another legendary military region, a group so insanely powerful that she felt he would be far more interested in joining them instead. A small smirk appeared on Fang Yi's face as he confirmed if she meant a top-level unit. She confirmed that was the case, though she admitted she hadn't seen them much herself. She had heard they were extremely busy lately, so much so that even officers from other military regions were feeling the pressure of their activities. Changing the subject, she suggested they stop talking and go, as the principal had invited them to eat at the university cafeteria. As they walked, Fang Yi silently concluded that even the nation's most powerful forces were facing their own big troubles. His mind raced with the implications. Ji Royan's words meant that terrifying anomalies, with power far beyond the capabilities of current pioneers, had already begun to appear. He realized that the pioneers fighting these threats must include spirit creation realm cultivators like himself, and perhaps some who were even stronger. A new sense of urgency washed over him. He felt that the day of the full spiritual energy revival was fast approaching, and his preparations were still far from enough. His thoughts then shifted back to the immediate task at hand, how to best use the Skyfire attribute he had just collected. He analyzed its nature, an irregular, wild, and all-consuming flame that left nothing in its wake. He realized it would be the perfect weapon against anomalies that could reproduce or regenerate endlessly. Suddenly, an idea struck him. The wild and powerful nature of the Skyfire was a perfect match for his Crimson Flame Blade technique. He imagined enchanting his sword with this new power, realizing it would be an incredible enhancement to his fighting style. To test his new powers, Fang Yi heads to the back mountain, a place he often uses for training. When he arrives, he is surprised to find the path blocked by a large sign warning that the mountain is dangerous and entry is forbidden. He wonders who could have done this. He knows there haven't been any monsters in the area, and he doubts the military would have found his training spot so quickly. He concludes that the only group that would know his habits and do him such a favor would be the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association. He realizes the association has gifted him this place as a private training ground, a way to win his favor. With a smile, he decides to accept their gesture. However, his thoughts are interrupted when his sharp senses detect an unwanted presence. He realizes an intruder has managed to sneak onto the mountain. Fang Yi senses a familiar aura, similar to the one he felt at the factory, though not as strong. Hidden among the trees, a monstrous, monkey-like creature with glowing red eyes watches him. Fang Yi notices the beast seems smart, as it hesitates and checks his strength instead of attacking blindly. With his sword already glowing with energy, he decides it's the perfect time for a show of power. A system window appears before him, asking if he wants to put the newly acquired Skyfire attribute into his Tang sword. The system describes Skyfire as a powerful light attribute, perfect for destroying evil. With a fiery determination in his eyes, Fang Yi accepts. Immediately, his sword erupts in a column of endless, crackling flames. With an excited smirk, he looks forward to combining the endless power of Skyfire with his Crimson Flame Blade technique. He decides the mutant creature will be his first test subject. Fang Yi unleashes a massive firestorm on the monster. The creature is taken by surprise, its eyes widening in terror before it is completely covered by the storm of flames, screeching in pain. Standing in the middle of the flames he created, Fang Yi checks his new ability. He realizes the energy of his attack is now double, or even triple, what it was before, and most importantly, the flames do not harm him. He touches the blade of his sword, still covered in fire, and notes that it feels cool. Suddenly, he senses that the creature has survived the attack and is trying to escape. With a determined look, he decides to chase the intruder to see what it's capable of. Meanwhile, deep in the same forest, a young woman with curly red hair is doing a live stream from her phone, mounted on a selfie stick. She tells her viewers that she isn't a liar, but that she has always been incredibly lucky, and that amazing content just seems to find her. Her viewers are doubtful, with one commenter daring her to prove her luck by going to Qingcheng University to film the mysterious sky fire that everyone is talking about. Her confident broadcast is suddenly interrupted as her expression changes to one of pure shock. The monkey-like monster that escaped from Fang Yi leaps out of the woods and attacks her viciously. The force of the attack sends her phone flying, its screen cracking as it hits the ground, but the live stream continues. Through the cracked screen, her viewers see the monster pinning her to the ground, but they think it's just a fake fight with bad special effects. The streamer, however, is in real danger. She cries in terror as the monster holds her down, its paw covering her mouth. The creature opens its massive, fanged mouth, ready to deliver a deadly bite. Before it can strike, a massive blast of fiery energy shaped like a dragon's head hits the monster, sending it flying back. The streamer looks up in shock, saved at the last second. Her viewers are now blown away, not by the realism of the danger, but by what they believe are incredible fire dragon special effects. The sudden, dramatic turn of events causes her viewership to shoot up to over 13,000 people. Still terrified, the streamer looks over her shoulder, asking who is there. She scrambles to grab her phone from the ground. Getting to her feet, she aims the camera at the source of the attack. She stands before a raging fire and shouts to her audience that she has captured it on film, that there is a person standing inside the fire. Her camera captures the silhouette of Fang Yi standing completely unharmed within the flames. In her terrified and amazed mind, she concludes that she has just been rescued by a true immortal. The video of Fang Yi's rescue of the live streamer, Malala, instantly goes viral. It becomes the top trending topic online, with over 13.5 million views. The headlines are dramatic, calling him a mysterious man of skyfire, the king of flames, and an immortal come down to earth to save the world. In an office, Chu Qingli's friend excitedly calls her over to look at the video on her computer screen. She is thrilled, telling Chu Qingli that this proves powerful cultivators are real and that the skyfire at the university was no fake. Chu Qingli, however, is dismissive, telling her friend not to believe such things and that it's all just acting and special effects. But as she looks closer at the screen, her doubtful expression freezes into one of shock and recognition. Her friend, not noticing her reaction, points excitedly at the screen, triumphantly saying she was right and commenting on how handsome the man in the video is, before noticing her friend's stunned silence. Internally, Chu Qingli is in turmoil. She desperately tells herself the video must be fake and that the figure only looks like Fang Yi. She reasons that if it were really him, he would have been burned to ash by such intense flames. Her denial then shifts to fear as she considers the possibility that it truly is him. She worries that he might use his new power to get revenge on her for their breakup, but she stubbornly resolves that she will never bow her head to him, no matter what. Elsewhere, the red-haired leader of Lin Yiyi's pioneer squad shows the same video to Yiyi on her phone. The leader asks if the man looks familiar, suggesting he's the same person who saved them from the monstrous vine. Yiyi agrees that he does, and then adds a stunning piece of information. She recently learned that a powerful master who broke through to the spirit creation realm lives in her neighborhood. She begins to wonder if her quiet cousin and this incredible pioneer could possibly be the same person. In yet another location, Zhang Xiaoya and a male pioneer from the lava cave incident also watch the video. The man recognizes Fang Yi's fighting stance and points out how much stronger he has become, while his companion notes that the way he wields his blade is identical, realizing they were incredibly lucky to have had such a powerful figure on their side. The news of Fang Yi's public display of power reaches the highest levels of the nation's two main organizations. Inside a sleek, modern skyscraper, likely the association headquarters, the city's crisis seems to be getting worse, with the current pioneers struggling to keep up. In a high-level meeting room, Su Qingying addresses a group of officials. She informs them that the military has already been in deep communication with Fang Yi, and she expresses her firm belief that he will agree to help them. Meanwhile, in a military command center, Ji Ruoyan, Major Han Li, and other officers discuss the new intelligence. They are astounded by his rapid progress, calling him a monster for reaching the spirit creation realm so quickly. They debate how many high-tier attributes he could possibly possess, with one officer concluding it must be 3 or even more. They agree that trying to intimidate him was foolish and that their only option is to recruit him. Major Han Li asks if the High Command has decided to approach him personally. Ji Ruoyan confirms they have, but adds that the top brass is still hesitant to humble themselves, as all previous top-tier pioneers have come from within the military's own ranks. Taking charge, Major Han Li outlines their new strategy. He orders his subordinates to find out what new weapons or equipment Fang Yi might need and to provide him with information on suitable training locations as a gesture of goodwill. He also gives a crucial final command. The viral livestream video and all the rumors spreading from it must be properly managed and controlled. The entire spiritual energy circle in the Xia Nation has now turned its attention toward Fang Yi. Both Su Qingying and Ji Ruoyan think about his future. Su Qingying appears concerned about the immense pressure he now faces, while Ji Ruoyan wears a slight, confident smile. Both women, leaders of their respective groups, eagerly await to see what this extraordinary young man will do next. In a quiet hospital room, a heart monitor beeps steadily. A mysterious woman with long purple hair sits by the bedside of an unseen patient, whom she calls her teacher. She speaks softly, telling the patient that the Xia Nation seems to have found a new hope. With the appearance of a person as powerful as Fang Yi, she adds, the chances of her teacher finally waking up have become a little higher. One day later, back at the apartment, Fang Yi is having breakfast and thinking about the previous day's events. He reflects on how the news of his battle in the back mountain went viral, all because a daring live streamer had managed to sneak into the restricted area for views. As he eats, he notes that the video has since been completely removed from the internet and the live streamer's account has been banned, correctly assuming it was the work of the military or the Spiritual Energy Association. His casual thoughts are suddenly interrupted as he realizes something is wrong. His cousin, Lin Yi, never came home the previous night and hasn't sent him any messages. He finds this very unusual, even if she was out on a mission. A feeling of unease grows as he tries to call her, but the call goes directly to an out-of-service message. Now genuinely worried, he knows something must be wrong and decides he has to go find her. Meanwhile, deep in a dark and misty forest, Lin Yi and the red-haired leader of her pioneer squad are lost and trapped. The leader asks Yi if she has any idea how long they've been stuck there. Yi estimates it's been about 10 hours, but she can no longer keep track. The red-haired leader, looking exhausted and bruised, apologizes greatly, blaming herself for dragging Yi into this mess. She admits she thought they were just investigating a strange phenomenon. As she speaks, she clutches her side in pain. Yi tells her to stop apologizing, insisting that it was her own lack of strength that was the problem. She urges her leader to stay alert and save what little energy they have left. As she tries to stay strong, her thoughts drift to the overwhelmingly powerful master she witnessed, wishing she had even a fraction of his power to save them. Their desperate conversation is cut short as a massive, shadowy monster with glowing red eyes and a menacing, spiky form appears in the fog directly behind them. The shadowy monster lunges from the fog, its claws aimed at the red-haired leader. Reacting with incredible speed, Lin Yi shoves her companion out of the way, shouting a warning. She then unleashes a blast of bright blue spiritual energy from her hand, creating a sharp blade of light that cleanly cuts off the attacking creature's head. As they get to their feet, more of these shadowy, zombie-like figures come out of the fog. Yi realizes with horror that these must be the reanimated bodies of other people who were trapped and died in this place. After defeating one of the creatures, which dissolves into a puddle of black mist, Yi explains that the main monster is just playing with them, turning its victims into these strange puppets. The red-haired leader adds that their attacks have no real effect on the mist itself, and their spiritual energy is being drained quickly, all while the real enemy stays hidden. They soon realize they are trapped in some kind of illusion created by the monster, a swirling gray space where the creature seems unbeatable. It is a waiting game. The monster is just letting them get tired. A bead of sweat rolls down the leader's face as the seriousness of their hopeless situation sinks in. Suddenly, the sky above them tears open to reveal a single, massive, blood-red eye staring down at them. The leader screams Yi's name in terror. The eye is a gross, pulsating ball of flesh that begins to bubble and multiply, splitting into numerous smaller, slimy eyeballs. Angry and desperate, the red-haired leader lashes out, furiously chopping at the flying eyeballs and destroying several of them in a frenzy. Yi Yi, however, senses a change in the creature's energy and warns her leader not to be careless, realizing that their enemy is finally losing its patience. The main eye then unleashes a powerful, concentrated blast of red energy. Yi Yi manages to put up a crystal barrier just in time, but the force of the impact is huge. The barrier shatters, and Yi Yi finds herself alone, surrounded by dozens of the glowing red eyes in the heavy darkness. She feels her hope fade, wondering if this is how she is going to die. Trapped in the monster's dark domain, Lin Yi Yi is slowly being eaten by shadowy tendrils. She can no longer hear her leader's voice and realizes they have both been swallowed by the darkness. A wave of regret washes over her as she apologizes to herself for being overconfident, admitting she was wrong to think they could handle such a dangerous mission alone. As she accepts her fate, her mind wanders to the future she will never see, wondering what the world will be like after the full spiritual energy revival. With a final thought of despair, she laments that she will never see the magnificent era to come as she reaches out a hand, sinking into the abyss of glowing red eyes. Tears stream down her face as she closes her eyes, ready for the end. Just as all hope seems lost, a massive explosion of brilliant blue light erupts, tearing the darkness apart. A figure bursts through the shadows, radiating an immense aura of crackling blue energy. It is Fang Yi, his eyes glowing with power. He remarks to himself that he almost didn't make it in time. Yi Yi stares in utter shock and disbelief, tears still fresh on her cheeks, as she recognizes her rescuer and gasps his name, identifying him as her cousin. With a powerful blast of divine thunder, Fang Yi completely shatters the monster's shadowy domain. He lands gracefully in the now clear forest, his hand still sparking with leftover electricity. He has saved both his cousin and her unconscious leader. Yi Yi can only stare, her world turned upside down by the stunning revelation that her seemingly ordinary and lazy cousin is, in fact, an incredibly powerful pioneer. The battle is not over yet. The true form of the anomaly, a grotesque, multi-eyed, fleshy orb, appears from the shadows behind Fang Yi. Yi Yi snaps out of her shock and desperately shouts a warning, telling him that the creature's main body is behind him. Fang Yi, however, is not worried. His hand ignites with the golden red energy of Skyfire as a confident smirk spreads across his face. He sees this as the perfect opportunity to test the effect of his new power on a dark attribute creature. He leaps into action, unleashing his Crimson Flame Blade technique. The attack, now strengthened by the inextinguishable power of Skyfire, completely engulfs the monster in a raging fire. The creature lets out a final, agonizing shriek, a small smile on his face as the protective flames die down. He tells them the problem is solved and, noticing the time, remarks that they must not have had breakfast yet. The red-haired leader stares at him, her eyes widening in sudden, dawning recognition. She springs to her feet, her expression one of pure excitement and awe. She points at Fang Yi, confirming that he is the one who saved them before in Yanghuo Town from the monstrous death vine. Fang Yi looks slightly surprised, thinking to himself that he was recognized so easily. Lin Yi Yi is completely stunned by this new revelation. She asks her leader if she's saying that the powerful fire attribute master who saved them from the vine was also her cousin. The leader turns to Yi Yi, equally shocked by the connection, and asks how this supermaster could possibly be her cousin, reminding Yi Yi that she had described him as a completely ordinary person. Fang Yi can only scratch the back of his head with an awkward smile. The leader, still buzzing with excitement, grabs Yi Yi's shoulders. She reminds her that this is the same savior who defeated the Desolation Vine with a single, incredible slash. Yi Yi's mind races, trying to connect the dots. She realizes her cousin is indeed the high-level fire user, but she is still confused, as she just witnessed him use an incredibly pure and powerful thunder attribute to destroy the monster's dark mist. Her thoughts spiral as she fully grasps the implications. The immense power of both his fire and thunder abilities means he is a super genius with dual high-grade attributes. Then, another, even more shocking realization hits her as she remembers the immense spiritual disturbance in her neighborhood, the one that signaled a breakthrough to the legendary spirit creation realm. She wonders if that incredible display of power was also her cousin's doing. Tired of the confusion, Fang Yi cuts in and confirms that yes, it was all him. He then changes the subject, asking them about the dark attribute anomaly. He says that they should have known this type of creature was not to be taken lightly, and asks why only the two of them came, and where the rest of their teammates were. The red-haired leader explains that their other teammates were unavailable. One was sick and grounded at home, while another was on a more difficult mission, clarifying that their squad doesn't always operate as a full unit. Yi then admits it was her own fault, confessing that she had become reckless after her recent breakthrough and wrongly believed she could handle the mission alone. Fang Yi listens, his expression thoughtful. He recalls the infighting he witnessed within their team before. He notes that the leader, who had been openly critical of her teammates, is now defending them to an outsider. He sees her loyalty, and he knows his smart cousin has likely sensed the team's instability as well. With his identity now revealed to two people he feels he can trust, he makes a proposition. He turns to his cousin and her friend and asks if they would like to form a team with him. Both women are stunned into silence for a moment before the red-haired leader erupts with joy. She clasps her hands together, overjoyed at the prospect of teaming up with such a powerful master and exclaiming that she is incredibly lucky to benefit from Yi's connection. Yi, however, is having a more profound realization. She understands that a pioneer as powerful as her cousin must have known her secret all along and had been quietly watching over her. The thought that on this difficult and lonely path of cultivation, she has a reliable and powerful family member helping her without asking for anything in return brings her an overwhelming sense of happiness and relief. A single tear of gratitude rolls down her cheek. Wiping it away, she flashes a bright, happy smile and a peace sign at her cousin, thanking him greatly and promising to make him 2 extra eggs for dinner. Just then, Yi's phone buzzes with a notification. She announces that Sister Jiaolan, the mysterious and powerful member of their pioneer group, has just posted a new mission. The message is an alert for a high-risk collection task in a place called the Extreme Dark Zone, which is explicitly stated to be related to the dark attribute. Jiaolan's message ends with a stern warning for everyone to think very carefully before signing up. Fang Yi asks if they know about this zone. Yi explains that it is a border area that is strictly forbidden by the Xia nation. The dark attribute energy there is so overwhelmingly powerful that most pioneers make it a point to avoid the area entirely. She adds that most of the strange anomalies that have been appearing in their city are actually energy leakages from this forbidden zone. Because of the extreme danger, even the government has been unable to explore it deeply, as past attempts have resulted in severe accidents. Intrigued, Fang Yi suggests they should give it a try and asks Yi to message Jiaolan for more specific details about the mission's content. Yi replies that it's useless, as Jiaolan is famously mysterious and rarely says more than a few words at a time. Fang Yi considers this information. He deduces that for Jiaolan to be able to issue a mission in a top-secret government-controlled area, she must either be an incredibly bold rogue going against the authorities, or she holds a high-ranking position within the military or the Spiritual Energy Association. He concludes that the latter is far more likely. Despite her doubts, Yi, using her online handle Feng Heiju, sends a message to Jiaolan, stating her interest in signing up and asking for more details. To both her and the red-haired leader's surprise, Jiaolan replies with uncharacteristic detail. The mission is to collect something called a shizai flower. She warns that while the rewards for this mission are much higher than usual, all the dangers within the extreme dark zone are related to the dark attribute, and the risk level is far greater than anything they have encountered before. She explicitly advises all pioneers to form teams before attempting the mission. The two women are stunned by how thorough her response is, as it's completely out of character for her. A moment later, another, even more direct message from Jiaolan arrives. She warns that the mission could involve an S-level anomaly and that the death rate is extremely high, urging them to reconsider. Then, she adds a final, thinly veiled piece of advice. If you have a strong and reliable pioneer to team up with, it's not too late to sign up. Elsewhere, the mysterious purple-haired woman from the hospital, who is revealed to be Jiaolan, walks down a corridor flanked by guards. She looks at her phone and thinks to herself that she's done all she can. It is now up to that person to decide if they are willing to accept the challenge. Back in the park, Fang Yi smirks, having completely understood the subtext. He tells Yi that Jiaolan's message isn't just a warning, it's a direct and personal invitation. He translates the hidden meaning. I know who you are. I know a pioneer of your caliber would be interested, and I'm daring you to come. Fang Yi realizes with certainty that this entire mission posting was aimed directly at him. Looking out at a vision of the dark and desolate landscape of the extreme dark zone, he finds the prospect interesting and decides he will indeed be making a trip there.
The boy woke up
A small smile on his face as the protective flames die down. He tells them,
Thanks for watching. I'm going to see you next video.